Today we're going to be making the Tropical Twist Cut-Out Swimsuit. It's such a trendy look. Let's get started. The first thing we want to do is make a mark right diagonal in from this corner on both ends of the front main piece. So you should have a mark a 1/4 inch diagonally in here and the same at the bottom and then on the other piece. Then what we're going to do is place our pieces right sides together. These clips down here are actually my markings for the dot that was at the bottom. This is gonna be where our little hole will be. So this is the marking that's on the pattern piece. Instead of a marker, I used a clip. We are going to go to our sewing machine and we are going to sew from this edge to this point and backstitch both ends. And then do the same here at this angled area. So from here up to this point and backstitch, of course. Let's do that. I'm going to use a triple stitch for this process. It's important that you should use your sewing machine for this step because a serger won't be able to get the preciseness that we need for this technique. So I am using my number 8, which is this lightning triple stitch here. We are using a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And backstitch, and then you can see that's what that stitch looks like. And we're gonna go to the other side, just kind of arrange your piece so they're lined up. Make sure to backstitch. Okay, and then you should have stitches like this and stitches like that. Open your pieces like this. And we're going to align these long edges now. So you're gonna fold this up together like that. And you want to sew from the end all the way here, touch the stitches. And then you're going to go from the other end and do the same thing. You wanna sew all the way till you just touch these stitches. You can pin or clip if you'd like. I'm still gonna use the same lightning stitch for this step. Repeat that for the other side. Now you're going to turn it right side out. You'll see it's kind of like this at this stage with it right side out. Now we've put aside our front bodice we just worked on, and we're going to now get the front piece that we're going to gather. We are going to use these clips as markings that I'm going to put there, and we are going to sew 2 rows of basting stitches on each side from where you see clip to clip. That's going to allow us to gather. Okay, let's go do that. You want to turn your tension when you're going to make a gathering stitch. I like to use a 7, and my stitch width is a basting stitch, so it's 5 width, and you're going to run 1 row of stitches. I'm going to line up right here with the inside of this part of my foot, and then when I do the next row it'll be at the edge of the foot. Don't backstitch because you need the threads to be able to pull and gather. Lift your needle, lift your presser foot, gently pull, and then trim away so that you have extra thread that you can use when we are adjusting our gathers. Okay, like I said, we're gonna run another row there. This time lining it up with the edge here. Don't backstitch still. Repeat that for the other side. Now, once you've done those stitch rows, 2 on each side, you will have a semi-gathered piece. You want to take your front liner piece, this is mine, and what we want to do is we want to pull the strings until our gathers are the same height of this piece. So it's going to bring it down about 1.5 inches. Just get a piece of thread, and you want to just kind of start pulling these gathers down. Like that. Check it. Looks pretty good. So now what I need to do is just kind of adjust them so they are evenly spaced, because you don't want a bunch of gathers in one spot because that will look weird. Now you also want to be mindful that you want your gathers on this side to be pretty even with your gathers on the other side. Otherwise, again, it might look kind of strange. So pull it over and check it to see where you're at with your gathers. Looks like I could go a little bit higher on this side. That looks pretty good. So again, I'm going to open it up, make sure that my gathers are even, because I don't want them to look ultra gathered in some areas and then not in others. And that looks pretty nice, I think. You can go ahead and just set this here, because we're going to do the liner and the front kind of at the same time, because the same steps happen to both of these. I have my main front that we worked on just a bit ago, and I have my liner. Your liner front looks like this. The dots from the pattern piece are marked with my red clips here, and what we want to do is put it right sides together from that clip, which goes at the corner, and then it will sew like this. Okay, so you're like, wait, this side's rounded though, that doesn't match up, but it will. So we're going to actually clip it right there, and then you will sew this rounded piece in a curve like that. Okay, did you see that? I am actually making my bottom piece sort of curve by lining it up like that. Seems kind of weird, but it works. And this is what's creating your cup. So we definitely want to follow that curve. And then you're going to clip it on the other side in the same way. Another important note is that I'm using swim liner. This is swim liner. It is specifically made for the inside of swimsuits. It's thin and it's not gonna add a lot of bulk or cause our swimsuit to not stretch properly. So make sure you're using swim liner rather than another piece of swimsuit fabric. It's too thick and it's got too much of a recovery going on, that we need this for the inside. Don't use power mesh, because power mesh is too secure. It's so it has so much recovery and support that it's not designed for what this pattern is for. It's a great option, but just not for this. We are also going to do the same thing for this. We are going to take our fronts, and remember I said I had my marking with this clip here. So I'm gonna put them right sides together and then match up the corner of scoop here. It kind of looks like a smile or a semicircle. We want to clip right at the corner of that with our marking or our clip on both sides like that. And this is going to be our opening. So again, you're going to kind of sew this in a curved nature like that. So let's go do that. We'll move to the next step. Now that you have that done, you're going to arrange your front like this. You want your straps up and out of the way and your hole visible. You're going to place your front liner right sides down on top of your front main, and you're going to be matching up this center keyhole area. Now we are going to go stitch this. You can use a lightning stitch, you could use your serger, but after you sew it, it's recommended that you secure it with a little bit of of elastic. Clear elastic works really well for this. And you just want to go in with your elastic and just sew it right along the edge of your seam. If you're really good at serging on elastic and using clear elastic, then it would be okay to be serging it all together at the same time, but it's maybe a tad bit easier to sew it first and then add this on as you go. You can give it just a little stretch as you go, so not a lot, but just a little, just some good tension as you're putting it in, because essentially you want this elastic to really give it some good recovery so that when it stretches on over your body, this part stays secure and it isn't stretching really big. And we don't want you to stretch your elastic too much, because then that will make the hole so small it won't be noticeable. So let's go do that step. Start at one corner, and when you make it to the center, lift your presser foot with your needle and your fabric and rotate so that you now can go straight down the next side. Just want to keep adjusting your fabric so that you're matching up your keyhole as much as possible. Okay, turn and pivot. Just adjust your fabric here. And give your elastic a little pre-stretch so that it is able to do its stretching job. Okay, place it like this over your seam, and you're actually going to be sewing it in your seam allowance area. And remember, taut, but not too much stretch. Pivot. Pivot again. To turn it right side out and push your liner toward the back through the hole like that. It's gonna look funky, but it's all gonna work out in the end. Now we're going to put that aside and grab our back main and our back liner. As you can see, our back has two pieces for the back. We're going to sew this center back seam by placing our pieces right sides together like I've done here with the back and clipped it up the center seam. This center seam is designed this way to really fit your body well and to eliminate excess fabric that might bunch around the back. If you have a sway back or you make that adjustment often, this would be a good time to do that, but just know there's already one built in, so you might check if you really need it or not. For this step, I am gonna go serge using my overlock machine, so I'm gonna just serge down with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance on both. If you want to lightly press, you're welcome to do that. Just make sure you test your fabric beforehand so that you don't scorch it or melt it. Now that we're done with that, we want to take our bottom back and our back bodice, and we are going to make sure that we place those right sides together. Pin or clip your liner pieces together. Now repeat that step for our main back pieces. Let's go sew it. Place your liner and main pieces together and sew the back hole. Now you want to place your main with your liner out of the way like this. And we're going to take our back main, and with the liner kind of in the middle out of the way, we're going to start matching up seams. So we want to match at the armpit here and here, and match up down here at the leg. And now we're just gonna start matching up as we go. Match up these seams right there. Your gathered area here should still match up well with the side. Looks like mine does. If you need anything gathered just a little more, that's okay, just adjust it. And then do the same on this side. Okay, now we are going to go sew along the sides to secure that. You want to also align your shoulder seam and your crotch seam. I'm using the marks I made from the pattern to know where the edge should be on both sides of my front. Just like that. And you'll sew here, we'll sew each shoulder, and then we'll sew the side seams now. Now we're going to align our liner pieces. So we kind of want to twist it. It's going to seem really weird, but we want to sew this side seam here. We want to clip these together. So let's do this kind of slowly and I'll show you. And then for this side seam, we are going to clip it like that. You want to kind of match up those seams there. Good. Now you want to do the same for our crotch. Use your markings. Now we just want to do the other side. Okay, so now you want to kind of double check that you didn't get anything kind of mixed up, because we definitely don't want to have, you know, like twisted things. Okay, so we're just gonna sew all of this like you've pinned it. Don't worry about the weirdness. And then this is actually gonna allow us to have no seams on the inside or on the outside of our swimsuits. That's gonna be really nice and a really good professional finish. Now we want to turn this right side out. So you should have seams to seams. So it should be no seam to no seam. So if you are a seam sensitive person, this is an excellent choice, because now all the seams are going to be sewn to the inside of your suit and it shouldn't touch your body anywhere. Okay, just adjust crotch here, get that kind of lined up a little better. Okay, what you should do now is to go put this on and see what you think about your crossover part. This is a time when you can make adjustments. Maybe you might want this a little more snug, and that's okay. If you need to, you can just seam rip right here through the main piece only, and then maybe make this a little tighter, or maybe loosen it just a bit if you need, and then just re-sew those seams. And then we'll be ready to move on to the next step. I tried mine on and it was really cute, so I'm not gonna make adjustments. However, it is time to start working on the sleeve flounce and then our elastics. So what I think would be best is for you to baste all these openings together. You want to baste this arm side, you want to baste the neck, you want to baste the leg openings. This is just going to keep everything from shifting when you're putting in your elastic, and it will kind of now be treated as one piece. Okay, It's gonna be really important because otherwise it's gonna look, you know, not great, trust me. So don't skip that step. I tried to skip this step when I was doing the test version and it did not work. Also, you can remove your basting stitches, your gathering stitches, so that your swimsuit will not have stitches breaking or whatever when you're wearing it. So you just undo that on both sides. Okay, let's go sew that. I would not backstitch so that you can easily pull those basting stitches out when you need to. And then do the others. Your swimsuit should look like this now. We have basted all of our open sections. So we basted the neck, the arm size, we basted both leg openings. Now we can treat this swimsuit as one piece instead of a mane and a liner, which will be so much easier. If you are adding the flounce, then you will follow this next step. If not, go ahead and skip to the elastic part. I have marked each flounce with a clip at the center short end and a clip at the center long end. The long end is where your shoulder seam is, and the short end is where your side seam is. You want to place these right sides together. Find your side, place your clip just like that, and then do the same at the shoulder, okay? And then you're just going to sew around that just to baste it in place again. You can use a zigzag stitch, you can use another basting stitch if you want. We're gonna put the elastic on after. Don't try to skip the basting step because everything shifts because this is kind of slippery fabric. And then you'll be trying to get your elastic on and you'll miss this, it'll slip down here, and trust me, I did that in testing and I had a seam rip, so don't skip it. Now it is elastic time, and we are getting really close to being done. So you want to have a tape measure or a ruler or a cutting mat with measurements so that you'll be able to measure properly. This is my 3/8 of an inch swim elastic. You want to get out your elastic and just give it a good stretch. And this just helps to prepare the elastic so that it can be ready to go into our garments. It also helps it to not stretch out over time as much because you're kind of giving it a good initial stretch. Why do you use swim elastic in this sewing pattern? That will prevent your elastic from getting hard. And if you've ever had a swimsuit before where the elastic got really hard and it didn't want to stretch very well anymore, that's because it wasn't swim elastic. Swim elastic is made to withstand chlorine and excessive use. So that's why we use this special kind of elastic. What you're going to do to find each measurement from the legs to the arm size to the neck is you're actually going to measure the openings and then multiply that number by 85 to 90%, depending on whether you like it a little on the snug side, 85%, or a little bit like fitted well, but not super, super tight, 90%, okay? I'm gonna do 90%. I've always done that with my swimsuits and it's worked really well. So I used my cutting board to measure the neck because it's quite wide, but essentially you will just run your tape measure or you can lay it on your cutting mat and kind of go around, and you're just going to get the measurement for this, okay? Mine was 42 or 43, I think it was 43, and I multiplied that by 90 and I got 38.7. So because there's a little wiggle room between the 85 and 90, I'm just gonna cut it at 38.5. That will give me a little bit to overlap, and I feel like that's gonna be a good amount for my neckline. Okay, I am going to have several pieces of elastic, so I'm just gonna write N for neck on that one. Now, let's measure the arm side. They should both be the same, so you can just measure one, go from the shoulder and then around, and that way you'll know where to end up. You don't really want to stretch anything, you just kind of want to walk it around and then back up to that shoulder. All right, for me that's right at 20 inches, so I'm going to cut 2 of those 20 inches times 90%. Now, because I need 2, an easier way to do that is to find your length and then fold it in half and use the end where you fold it in half for the other cut line. Now I am gonna write A for arm on here and then set those over by my other elastic. Got 2 more to go, just our legs left. I'm gonna start at the leg crease because it's a pretty prominent line. I don't think I'll miss it when I get back around. Alright, we're gonna put an L on these for leg. Now we're going to sew each one of these in a loop. We don't want our elastic to be twisted, so make sure when you're folding it, you make sure that it's not twisted. So it should all be in the correct loop. Overlap it about a 1/2 inch, and we're gonna go put some zigzag stitches here to secure, and we're gonna do it for all of our different areas where we need to do it. 2 legs, 2 arm sides, the neck, okay? So this is where I made a mistake and placed my elastic on the right side of the swimsuit instead of to the wrong side. So don't make the mistake like I did and have to unpick everything. Make sure you put your elastic on the wrong side. With your swimsuit wrong side out, place the elastic over the wrong side of the front of the arm. Don't stretch it, but keep it tight and pin it from shoulder to side seam. The back of the arm side from the shoulder to side seam, stretch the elastic evenly, aligning the edges, and pin or clip in place. Sew using your stretch stitch. The elastic edges toward the inside to enclose the elastic. Pin or clip. From the right side, top stitch along the elastic edges to secure, using your preferred stretch stitch. Repeat on the other side. Mark the center of the front and back of the neckline with clips and divide the elastic into 2 equal parts and mark with clips. Place the elastic over the wrong side of the neckline and pin or clip at the front center. Do not stretch, but keep the elastic pulled tight and pin or clip from shoulder to shoulder across the front. Across the back neckline, match centers, and from shoulder to shoulder, stretch the elastic evenly, aligning the raw edges, pin or clip in place, and sew using your stretch stitch. Fold the elastic edges toward the inside to enclose the elastic and clip in place. From the right side, top stitch along the elastic edges to secure. Place your leg elastic over the wrong side of the front of the leg opening. Do not stretch, but keep the elastic pulled tight from crotch seam to side seam and pin in place. Across the back of the leg opening from crotch to side seam, we want to stretch the elastic evenly, aligning the raw edges, and then pin and sew using your preferred stretch stitch. Fold the elastic edges toward the inside to enclose the elastic. From the right side, top stitch along the elastic edges and sew using your preferred stretch stitch. Repeat on the other side. Here's an outtake of when I realized I did it wrong with the elastic on the outside. I was so frustrated, but that's okay. I just seam ripped it and fixed it. And now we've finished our swimsuit. I hope that you love your swimsuit and had a good time sewing it with me. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you next time. Until then.